Confession, I solved a problem by offering a discount so deep that I was almost paying members to keep training at my gym.
And I decided to expand to a second location long before I was prepared for that.
Ooh, these were both costly errors. I'm Mike Warkentin, and that's Corey Lewis, and we're going to talk about very common gym owner mistakes that feel good at the time, but turn out to have horrible downstream consequences. So yes. I've owned a fitness business since 2009. Corey is the 14-year owner of Extra Mile Fitness in Missouri. He's also a two-brain mentor. So after we lay out some of our sins, he's going to tell you how he helps clients avoid similar pain. So Corey, you're ready to hit the Hall of Shame here and see what's going on?
Absolutely. I'll lay out all my confessions for mistakes I made.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. And I'll start with my quick one there is like, we started a boot camp, and that I was operating inside a global gym, and I had some clients. And then when I started to open a facility, I decided to, I offered to bring them over. And because they were giving me a chance when I had really no credibility and no experience, I wanted to reward them. So I gave them a founding member rate of $84. And I don't know how I came up with that. It was maybe like $7 times 16 visits or 12 visits, or maybe it was half of our unlimited price, which was still too low. Whatever it was, I came up with $84, and it was not based on math or anything like that. I put it in place and I said it would never change. And I'm going to interject here that Two Brain literally has a plan called the Founding Members Club that helps gym owners now launch their businesses in the black on day one with like 50 to 70 members. It happens. Yep. I've seen it. It's incredible. This didn't exist in 2009, 2010. So I just made it up. And when things got really bad, I realized that like I'd have 2 or 3 of these members, and they were great people. They were awesome people, and I don't begrudge them, that discount, but I'd look and there was 2 or 3 of them. They were maybe paying $15 total for the class, and I was paying the coach $20 to $25. I was losing money on every single class. And at the worst, I was losing $5,000 a month, and I didn't know what to do. And I wanted to be a man of honor, right? So I said, okay, I'm not going to change their discounts. I'm not going to change their discounts. The business was bleeding out. And because of that mistake, I was going to have to shut down the business. Eventually got with a mentor. We did a rate increase, saved the whole thing. I got my staff costs in line, and we went through the analytics and the metrics, fixed it. But that mistake, honorable at the time, felt good, huge consequences that almost sunk the business. I needed someone like you to tell me not to do it. What have you got?
Absolutely. That's a common one we see. Mine was in 2015, my location was thriving. We were making money. I thought we were crushing it. So I figured if I just open a second location, I'm going to double my money.
Double up.
Yep. Make all the money I ever wanted to make. So I actually acquired a location in 2015. And not only did I make tons of mistakes that I could have avoided with a mentor on taking over a gym and, making changes, but my focus got pulled so much towards that location and trying to make that work that my golden goose, my original location that, was thriving, that's what made me expand, now began having staff issues, losing money, and going backwards. And now instead of having one thriving gym, I had 2 that were going backwards on me.
Yeah. And I've heard that's so common. When I started out, we opened a gym. There were always these like unicorns that you hear about there who had opened a second location. We all thought, what an amazing thing. You just double your revenue. It just never goes like that. Right. And like you ended up exactly what I've heard from other people. You have one good gym, so you try to double up, and you end up, both of them are mediocre or failing.
Yep. I saw others, like you said, we see others online doing it.
Yeah.
And I thought I was really good at what I did, so I could easily duplicate that. But unfortunately, now I kick myself. I look back and realize all my mistakes, but it wore me into the ground and almost sunk my gym that was making me all the money.
Yeah. Killing the golden goose. Chris Cooper's written about that a number of times. And like, it's so tempting to just do that other thing. And then all of a sudden the plates that are spinning over here all collapse.
Yep.
And I'll say though, now that we have systems and business best practices and Two Brain principles and tactics, there are gym owners who are able to replicate that existing business. Like Oscar Joe had, one of the mentors over in Sweden, is now doing this, and there's others like him. It's doable. It's just not doable without a plan. So if you do have a goal to run 2 businesses, in our Tinker program, people do that, or they start a different business, or they start like, a whiskey distillery or a sports beverage company or real estate investing. There are other things that people do, but it's according to a plan. We didn't have that at the time. We just winged it.
No. And that's why I kick myself now looking back. Like, no, I had no SOPs. I had no staff playbook. And I just figured, well, I'm really good at running this gym. I'll be good at running 2. And needless to say, it didn't go well.
If you
And now
could
looking
clone
back, if I
yourself,
had that staff playbook and SOPs, it could have been a whole different story.
yeah, and if you could have cloned yourself in that founder stage, Corey 1 could have run the first one and Corey 2 could have run the second one. It would have gone fine, but that's the founder problem. You can't actually do that. The only way to clone yourself is to document all your systems and then replicate those systems in a second spot. But we never did that. You and I just like, we'll just wing it and it'll turn out fine.
Corey 1 coached from 5 a.m. to noon at one location, and then Corey 2 coached from 1 o'clock to 8 p.m. at the other end. That gets exhausting.
And then Corey 3 probably just sat at home staring at the carpet and wondering where his life went, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you got? Any other feels good, horrible consequence mistakes that you have in the past?
Unfortunately, I made a lot of them pre-Two Brain and many years ago, but I would say I could relate to the discounting drastically to get new members in the door. I made that mistake like many of us. I would say the other big mistake I made was, and it kind of goes back to the systems and staff playbook in place, was hiring a, upper management or GM for my gym and not having any idea how to pay them properly. So I overpaid, but also B, not having the systems and things in place for them to be successful.
So how did you, because that's one where you realize you're burned out and you're stressed and you're like, I'll just hire someone and offload, but then you abdicate instead of delegating. I'm guessing that's probably what you did, because I've done similar stuff, not quite to that level, but I did it with other stuff where I'm like, okay, you're my programmer, head coach, and you're my retention person, figure it out. And then my retention was terrible. Did you have similar experience?
Very similar. Mine was out of desperation when I had that second location. Well, I need someone to run my first. They're going to know what to, I made that mistake. They're going to know what to do because I knew what to do.
Right.
And I expect them to do this. I expect them to do that, but I never gave them the roadmap or gave them the expectations or the system to do it. And then I was just disappointed. And then kind of like you looked at grudgingly at the people that were paying less. Now I'm looking grudgingly at them because they're not doing what I think they should, but I never told them what to do.
And it's so tough, like, because you're trying to solve that problem. Like, it probably felt good. You're like, I'm taking a clear step to buy back my time. I'm hiring a manager and, I'm overpaying and the work's not getting done. And like, same thing for me. I had a retention thing and I didn't lay out any systems, complete failure on my part. The retention plummets into the mountain. I'm losing 30 to 40 members. And I realized retention, nothing's being done, but I didn't put out that system because it's just, I would have done it. So I thought it was assumed and it wasn't. And like, it's so common. And again, listeners, I'll tell you again, if you're in this position, Two Brain now has a step-by-step plan called the value ladder to help you buy back your time and move into those upper level roles without abdicating responsibility for the roles you're leaving. So you're going to document everything you do, and you're going to hire a cleaner and tell the cleaner, do this checklist. And then you'll go all the way up the chain. Corey does this with his clients all the time. And you can get yourself right up to CEO and you have general managers and all this stuff, but it follows a pattern. It's not whimsical and here's 50 grand to do some stuff that you think will build the business, right? It just doesn't work like that anymore.
No, it's much smoother now. And it makes us wish we had Two Brain back when we opened our doors originally. It would have saved us some headaches.
And that's the whole point here. Yeah, that's the point of the show, is really that these early mistakes sometimes, and they're well-meaning, like we both tried to do the right thing. It wasn't from a position of stupidity or greed. It was just inexperience with lack of guidance. So we made these decisions and it cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars and years to pull myself out of those holes. I'm sure you have the same experience. Chris Cooper's had the same experience. So many people have. And now you can kind of just skip to the good part. So this is like, this is a cool story where this was back probably around the time 2015 when you were thinking about opening a gym. That was, or second gym. That was kind of when I was like, people were starting to do that and they were starting to buy buildings and things like that. I'm like, oh, this is maybe a good retirement plan. Maybe I should do this kind of stuff. In certain cases, it can work, obviously. However, I remember sitting down, there was a guy in my gym. He was one of our seed clients and he was a construction guy. He built everything, skyscrapers, all sorts of stuff. And I said, dude, like, would it be a good idea to build a building and so I'd own it? He's like, hell no. He's like, do you know the costs associated with this? He's like, you would be underwater for so long before you'd ever make a profit. You would have all these headaches and problems. It would be a disaster for you. And then he literally off the top of his head quoted me the per square foot building price and was like, would you be prepared for that? And I was like, no. And I immediately pulled back. And I realized that I talked to an expert who knew the numbers, the metrics, the data, and had a system. And he saved me from a huge, huge mistake. And interestingly enough, that's what you're doing now with your clients.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of mentoring, is now we've had numerous probably over the years, and it's having that person that can help you see the actual picture, that, get through all the noise and all the optimism, if you want to say that, but help you see the actual picture and make a knowledgeable decision, not just fly by the seat of our pants like we've done.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you see with mentees now? So we're fast forwarding all to 2025. We both got all our Hall of Shame behind us. What are some of the things that you see now, whether in the mentors group that you talk about with other mentors or with your own mentees, things that like people want to do that you have to just say, hey, let's pump the brakes, let's run the numbers, and let's see what really should happen?
I would say the biggest, kind of go back, and this is where I think my experience and my failures help me prevent others, is, just in the last couple months, I've had mentees come to me that wanted to, expand to another location when they're not quite ready for that. Or I've had numerous that want to elevate staff, because they're now seeing success of mentoring. They're making more money. So their first thing is, let's just start elevating people without going through the proper steps to get them there. I would say that's probably the most common thing. It's usually around that year mark of mentoring, because they're seeing lots of success, they're making money, and now they start getting ahead of themselves a little bit, wanting to promote staff that maybe aren't ready or maybe not the right person to sit in that seat.
Yeah, there are a few things more dangerous than an entrepreneur with time on their hands and a little bit of extra money, right? Because then you start thinking like, what can I do? And sometimes you come up with great ideas, but sometimes you come up with really, really terrible ones. And like the one that you're talking about there, like hiring or advancing staff people above the systems and above maybe even their skill or development or whatever it is, that creates huge problems, because you've got these key people in these small businesses. And once they're drilled into place, it's really hard to change things and move them. And it can be horrible, and that can cost you years. And some people I've heard get so frustrated, they just like burn the business down,
Yeah, and it cost you good. These were other mistakes I've made in the past.
Yeah.
It takes A plus or A staff member, and then if you put them in the wrong seat, that can make them fail. And we want all of our staff to succeed, and that helps the business succeed.
Yeah. And, I was at a Tinker meetup one time, and I was watching, they were doing like a hot seat thing where they have one of the people in the middle and talking about, their situation and what they might want to do. And everyone kind of asks questions and whatever. And this was in a focus group of peers with, some mentors they're leading as well. But this one person was talking about, she really felt pressure to do something because she had built a great business and it was running pretty well. And it was kind of doing what it was supposed to, kicking in some extra money, everything was good. And so she's like, I need to do something. And so she kind of started talking about some of the things that she was thinking about, but she wasn't super passionate into any of them. She wasn't like, the driving force was that she felt like she should do something because movement would feel good. But ultimately the people in the group kind of chatted with her and were like, the best decision you could make right now is to choose to do nothing. Yeah. Right? Because you don't have the right plan in place. You don't have a firm direction. You don't know what you want. And I thought that was really cool. And that was sort of a peer mentorship. And I think for you, that's probably where you say to clients, like, well, I'll ask you, how do you say to clients, maybe not this, or maybe pull back or pump the brakes? Like, how do you talk to people when they're thinking about something that you can see is probably going to be a problem?
Well, I think that's something we as mentors see a lot, because, the gym owners we work with for years, possibly, they were grinding hard. They were working long hours. And I've even experienced this. And now, we've built the business, we've put systems in place, and we do have that free time. And our natural instinct is, let's just fill it with more work. And so I think the biggest thing I do with mentees is we just like talk through the situation, have them really analyze it from their perspective, and then break it down, depending on what it is. Does it move the business forward towards your perfect day? Or is it going to be something that takes you further from that perfect day? I think that's one of the best activities we do with mentees, is that perfect day activity. Because that bases our decisions. Like, does this decision move us closer to that or further away from that? And then we can break it down. If we believe it moves us forward, then we can break it down more. And, okay, do we have the systems in place, the staff in place to expand to a second location? Or, do we have the money allocated and the systems in place to hire a GM? I think it just allows for a clear mind. And then we can actually make more, knowledgeable decisions and make better decisions in the long run.
And, Chris Cooper is blogging about that. I think it's coming out in a week or so. And he calls it the just ask method. And one of the things, I'll give a quick preview of what he's talking about, is asking important questions. And one of the questions that he talked about is like, what is my perfect day? How do I
Yep.
want to live? And exactly what you just said. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, you feel pressure to do something. Everyone else is doing this. I should do this, or I have some spare time. I should do this. Maybe the answer though is like, I should spend more time with my dog or my partner
Yep.
or my family, or I should just relax on the beach. Like that's a valid career decision. Once you've built a successful business, it's not always doubling down, even though you certainly can.
Well, and a lot of times we find talking with mentees, like instead of chasing this thing that you think is going to make you money, maybe we need to focus on investing in our staff, developing our staff.
Yep.
And
Yep.
are we truly, a lot of times it comes down to, are we truly maximizing our golden goose?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we, we still have something left in the tank there, but we're wanting to chase something else. So it's really, I feel like our job as mentors is to paint the picture for them and then help them get to the answer that fits them best.
Yeah, and I saw an example of that in one of our leaderboards. It was either for revenue or net owner benefit or one of the sexy ones. And the gym owner it was just a spectacular number, and it's a single gym. And we said, we asked him, is it consistent? Will this number continue? And he said, this number will continue. It's actually low this month because I'm significantly investing in staff. And I was
Yep.
like, wow, you're doubling down inside your location to get just a better team that's going to get that golden goose running better. And you don't need to necessarily like try to replicate that over there. There's so much potential in that one business that you can like really maximize one place rather than expanding to two. I'll ask you this, when you were going to expand to two businesses, were you bursting at the seams of the first one?
We were bursting at the
Yeah,
seams
okay, that's
when
good.
it came to members. But then one of the other big side effects of expanding was it pulled my staff in multiple directions,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it deteriorated our product that we were producing that made us so successful in bursting at the seams.
Yeah, yeah. So here's what I'll talk about. You've laid out some of the stuff, but I'll lay this out and you tell me what you think about this.
Yep.
If people want to avoid huge mistakes, stuff that feels good right at the time, but it's a huge mistake down the line, my number one thing is going to be get a mentor who can give you honest perspective. What do you think of that?
Absolutely. And, I think, and Chris talks about this often, all of us need a mentor for most facets of our life. Even though I mentor other gyms, I have a two-brain mentor that I meet with on a regular basis because we all need that, that view from outside to give us the best options for our business and to also keep us focused. Because I'll be honest, I still want to chase that shiny object.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
But having my mentor make sure I'm focused on what I am and making sure I'm still aligned with my perfect day is a game changer. I started with Two Brain in 22. I was kind of late in the game, being 10 years into owning a gym. I would have paid anything to start at that earlier just because it's that big of a game changer.
Well, you think about even if the mentorship fee was $100,000, you would have avoided like several $100,000 mistakes, right? So that
Oh yeah, I went to bought a second gym that cost me. We won't discuss how much it cost, but a lot of money.
It was more than the price of mentorship, though, I can imagine.
It would have bought me many, many, many years of mentoring.
Yeah, and that's the whole point here, guys. Is the listeners, if you're out there and you're struggling with a decision, mentorship and help is available. And the first thing you can do is book a call via the link in the show notes to talk about what that might look like for you. And the long and short of it is you're going to find out about a concise plan for your business to help you maximize growth and capital, just PR all your metrics. And that's kind of what we're looking for. And that's the second thing that I'll say is that I think if you're struggling out there right now and you don't have a mentor, I think the problem that you probably need to solve is start looking at your numbers.
Yep.
Dig into your data. What do you think of that? Because what happens when you're talking to a mentee and you start running numbers?
Oh, it's a game changer. So I would say, and you probably agree with this, 90+% of the mentees that start with Two Brain haven't looked at their numbers before.
I hadn't.
Yeah. And I hadn't, I avoided them because, especially when times got rough, because I didn't want to know what the true picture was.
Yeah.
And I think
That's
it just, not only does it paint a clearer picture, it allows us to identify the biggest opportunity.
Yep.
When we have our numbers, it tells us what we actually need to address. And most gym owners out there think we only need to address getting more members in the door. But when we have our numbers laid out, then it lets us know maybe we need to work on charging more. Like maybe are we undercharging? Are we not keeping people long enough? It allows us to make better decisions that actually move the needle forward instead of just constantly chasing new members
Yeah.
for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. And if someone had sat down, like if I had sat down with you in 2009 or 11 when I opened the physical location and I had said, okay, I want to offer this founding member rate at $84. What you would probably say to me is like, let's run the numbers and
Yep.
see how many memberships you need to sell to break even to pay for all the stuff that you're buying right now and your lease and all these new things and your staff. 84 doesn't sound like a good plan. 150 at the full price does not sound like a good plan.
No.
And let's put a mark, let's get the real numbers in place. Instead, I just guessed. Like I made those numbers up. I literally looked at another gym. I was like, nah, close enough and whatever. It was gutting. And
Yep.
I ended up, I've told the story before, but I ran the numbers by 2013. I knew that I needed to do a rate increase. I didn't do it for 5 years, but it was literally in my software. I just never pulled the trigger. $100,000 mistake. I could have had that money in
Yep.
my bank account, and I didn't do it because no one told me to pull the trigger till I actually got a mentor who showed me exactly how to roll out a rate increase. And guess what? When I did it, I didn't lose a single member. My
Yep.
business didn't go under, and I earned more money, and my stress went down. Have
Well,
you
that
seen
made
that?
me smile when you were telling the founder story,
Yeah.
because there's a gym not too far from me in St. Louis that, you know, she was a smart gym owner. She got with Two Brain before she opened.
Yes.
And when I met with her right after she opened with like 60 or 70 members and was profitable. And it made me jealous. I opened with a couple of members and was not profitable for a very long time.
Yeah, I had 11 and I had an Excel spreadsheet and I had an envelope where you put your checks on the door or cash payments every month if you felt like it. That's literally
Yep.
how it went. It was a grind, and like the only reason I got through was because we were the like one of two gyms doing CrossFit in a big city, and I got by just because of that. And then when business got tough, I had to get by because of Two Brain. And so that changed everything. You mentioned something really cool, starting a gym with Two Brain. The Start a Gym course and free resources are available. I'll put a link in the show notes. You can go there and take a look at that. If you are thinking about starting a gym right now and do not want to make $100,000 10-year unraveling mistakes, let's go there. Click that link down there. Corey, anything else, any other free resources? And I'm going to point to the big forum that we have for gym owners. Do you spend a bit of time in Gym Owners United and see what's going on in there?
I do. Chris is always throwing up good info.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that the community as a whole asks good questions, but they also ask a lot of questions that I know a mentor could help them get through a lot of their heartache a lot faster. But I think the resource that I'm using with several mentees right now, and I've used for years, is like you talked about, the rate increase
Yes.
toolkit item that Two Brain produces is a game changer, because not only does it allow you to make a intelligent decision on how much to raise, but it walks you through the steps of what needs to be done to avoid. We both probably heard the horror stories of people losing half their members
When you
doing
do
a
it
rate
wrong.
increase.
Yep.
And I've done now rate increases with over probably 24 mentees, and we haven't lost hardly any members. So, and they're all making a lot more money now and serving the clients they want to serve. So it's a beautiful thing.
And I think like your experience is not out of line. Greg Strow, one of our longest serving Two Brain mentors, I feel like he's done, I think it's 60 or 80 rate increases. Every single one went fine. Nobody lost their members. Nobody went under. All those gyms did better. The plan works. It's available for Two Brain clients, but I will tell you this, listeners, if you want to take a look at a high speed version of that plan, a primer, DM Chris Cooper, head to gymownersunited.com right now, look up Cooper and ask him for the rate increase guide, and he'll help you out with that. And it's not the full package for Two Brain clients, obviously, with the support of a mentor, but it can get you started poking in the right direction. I'm also going to push you guys over to another package, goldenhourchallenge.com. I'll put a link in the show notes to that as well. That is Chris Cooper's attempt to get you to focus for 1 hour a day and do one thing to grow your business before you do anything else. So if you head there, you can get a free resource hub, access to a free resource hub, and you'll get a bunch of stuff that Chris will teach you how to focus and give you some ideas on exactly what to do. But if all that stuff isn't moving the needle, because again, it takes somebody to hold you accountable, you're going to want to work with someone like Corey. So Corey, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
They could send me an email at Corey, Corey, at twobrainbusiness.com. I'd love to help people. And the entire team here at Two Brain, we all are mentors because we want to see other gyms win. That's what fills our cup, and that's what motivates us to get on the calls, to help mentors or to help our mentees through difficult times at times. We want to see them win just as bad as we want to win at our own gym. So we'd love to help as many gyms as we can.
If you want to take the first step today, book a call, link in the show notes, head down there and you will match up with someone who can chat with you about your business and give you some ideas about how Mentor can help you supercharge that, avoid bad mistakes, improve your metrics, and not lay bad tracks in the wrong direction that are going to make you come on the show with me and Corey in 5 years and tell us I should have listened to you then.
Yep. And help you achieve that perfect day so we can all enjoy life a little better.
That's the one. Corey, Thanks so much for being here and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
You do not have to suffer because of silly mistakes. Skip right to the correct answer with a mentor like Corey. Again, book a call via the link in the show notes. That was Corey Lewis. This is Run a Profitable Gym. I'm your host, Mike Warkentin. Please hit subscribe on your way out the door with my thanks for watching and listening. And now here's Two Brain founder Chris Cooper with a final message.
Hey, it's Two Brain founder Chris Cooper with a quick note. We created the Gym Owners United Facebook group to help you run a profitable gym. Thousands of gym owners just like you have already joined. In the group, we share sound advice about the business of fitness every day. I answer questions, I run free webinars, and I give away all kinds of great resources to help you grow your gym. I'd love to have you in that group. It's Gym Owners United on Facebook or go to gymownersunited.com to join. Do it today.